AI will take jobs of the people who are not prepared.
Meet David Lanre Messan, a seasoned startup builder and the powerhouse behind FirstFounders, a trailblazing venture studio.
There are 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is purpose. Pillar 2 is
from startup strategy to the transformative role of artificial intelligence.
Better to kill business fast.
David empowers a new generation of African entrepreneurs to move fast and focus on the purpose.
Because some people, their business is dead, but they keep pushing dead body.
This episode is your blueprint. I'm surprised, like looking at the news or what's happening in Nigeria, that it's not as packed as in Europe. In Europe, everyone's obsessed about AI, especially like middle class, a bit lower middle class, or people doing repetitive jobs. They are scared about it. And the people that write newsletters, for example, the bloggers or that create text content for the customers, wiped off. There are schools on how to transit like your basic skills now into usable skills in the next 10 years. So how do you see this happening, this scenario happening here in Nigeria, and where are the opportunities so that we know where we start investing?
So the reality is that, first of all, I think that people need to understand that artificial intelligence is only trying to create or solve the problem of automation. And in solving the problem of automation, we have to also understand that despite the fact that it's going to take away jobs, take away all of that, there are still people that are behind that automation. You get? So when the typist saw that his or her job was going to leave because of the advent of computer, the smart ones went to learn how to operate computer. You understand? And they moved with the trend and the time. It will hit Nigeria and it will hit those who are not forward thinking, who are not prepared for the use of AI. AI is not magic. AI is just automation. It's just that the world is advancing. We move from industrialization age to baby boomers. We move to technology. We kept moving like that. Things were changing. Things will continue to change. But we as humans, we must also change when change comes, right? So AI will take jobs of the people who are not prepared for the future, right? So that is number 1. Number 2 is that what are the opportunity areas, where AI will play? AI will play in everything.
Yes.
To play healthcare and all of that, right? And what should people really be doing in terms of where should you tap opportunity? You can still be in the same space that you are in.
Okay.
And apply AI. So the opportunities here exist. You are into podcasts. The question is that we need to become more curious. Which areas from everything we are doing here can AI play a role? Maybe all of these things that are actual math can now be AI.
Yeah, if we want to.
Do you understand?
Yeah, you already have that technology. Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So it's just about now thinking and opening your mind to the reality that, okay, this is the reality that is coming before us, and this is how we are going to handle it. And this is how AI will sort of change things and let us adapt and conform.
So it's about innovating in your space.
Exactly, innovating in your space and applying the technology of the time. The technology of the time now is AI.
Yeah.
You understand? And that is playing out. Like, why do we have to innovate into AI at FirstFounders? It's not like we are not still building the same products, but we are come to see that every product we are building, if we don't begin to integrate AI into it now, businesses will come that are similar to ours and will disrupt us. Because the customers now want it easy. And it is automation that can answer that question for them. You get? So we are now beginning to now integrate and incorporate all of those things into our own building strategy. And it's happening. And now investors already know that the new market that is existing, that is emerging and all of that. Let us put money where there is automation. Because we also want our money to grow exponentially. And automation is one thing that will help that to grow, because people will get towards where automation is.
Yes.
And that's what we're just trying to do.
In the art scene, you have this artist in residence. And I saw it like, entrepreneurs in residence. I was like, yes, why not actually? What does that mean? What does that entail? How do I come into residence, for example?
So an entrepreneur in residence is a person who knows how to create, capture, and deliver value.
Okay.
But do not have an idea.
Wait. Normally it is, I have an idea as a young person and I'm looking for someone that will help me, give me space. So now I'm hearing
so it could be flipped both ways. So you don't have an idea. Yeah. Then we have you as an entrepreneur in residence. So we give you an idea to run.
So there's an ideation process.
Exactly.
That happens.
So there's an ideation process, the hackathons and all of that sort of take place. And we look at ideas that sort of fit your experience as a person or fit your passion.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or falls within the scope of a problem that we know that you can solve in terms of capacity, right? So that is one hand of it. The other hand is that you are an entrepreneur, you have an idea, you join our entrepreneur in residence, and we work with you on that idea. So entrepreneur in residence simply means that you are an in-house entrepreneur.
Yeah, so like an incubator is happening.
Exactly. You know, so
from your perspective as a mentor, what have you noticed that these are like early stage challenges that reoccur? Is there a pattern of, you can just name a few things that always, no matter what sector of business you're starting, these things happen?
Well, there are constant things that happen in the life of a founder across board. And definitely there will be the problem of policy changes.
Okay.
It's constant. There's a problem. There's also going to be, you have to continue to innovate. So there's going to be that point where you are either stuck with your product or you innovate.
Do you get frustrated as a founder?
Of course, you get frustrated. There's no way you won't get frustrated. I mean, I've had my own fair share of frustration, and which is why the purpose is very important. What supersedes in all of this is the why.
Yes. Okay.
Why am I doing this? So every time you see something hit you hard, you ask yourself again, why am I doing this? The why is the source of joy.
Is the why personal?
Oftentimes the why can be personalized.
Okay.
The why is also, and the truth is that even in a business, there is culture. There is the why of the business, but it must also align with the why of the people. Which is why when people work, everybody aligns. We share in the value. If you don't have elements of that value, the value of the business in you can't be in that business, because the passion to want to drive won't be there. The consistency and the resilience to want to stay will not be there. Let us forget the reward. The reward is good, but when the reward doesn't even come, would you still stay? And that is where the ultimate question lies. You will see that when you run a company, you're running a company, and all of a sudden you have financial drought. Some people will leave, some will stay. Why is it that the people stayed? They actually stayed because they have aligned with the vision and the purpose of the business.
Yes.
And they see that the founder is consistent. I mean, it reminds me of Gary Hoover, who wrote a book titled The Hoover's Vision.
Okay.
The original business thinking skills and all of that. Now, one thing he mentioned 4 important elements for you to be able to succeed in business. He said, for you to remain very impactful and sustainable in business, you must first of all think of purpose. Pillar 1, he said there are 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is purpose. Pillar 2 is vision. Pillar 3 is clarity. Pillar 4 is consistency. He said, for you to really remain in business, you must define the purpose of the business. When you have that purpose nipped down, you have a vision. Now the purpose is constant, which is your why. But the vision can change as time changes. The vision of 10 years ago cannot run in today's world, because technology has come and changed things. So vision changes, and that is what influences your mission. Yeah? But he said, when there is no clarity, which is the ultimate, you will even lose, conformity or stance with the vision.
Okay.
You understand? And once there is no clarity, it is hard to be consistent, which is the 4th pillar. So you say consistency, you become consistent with what you are doing because you are clear. There's clarity. Like me, I'm very clear. I already know what FirstFounders wants to achieve. So if we go through any challenge today, I will be there because I know that it is just for a moment. Because there's clarity. So I always tell, so to further add to what you said, frustration, all of that, as a founder, something must be consistent in your life. It's always seek clarity.
Okay.
Always seek clarity. And how do you seek clarity? You seek clarity by always looking at the purpose. Why? Continue to ask, why am I doing this? Why? What am I doing it for? And when you continue to answer that, ask yourself those questions, it begins to open your mind to the pathways that will lead there. And because, as you are now, if I tell you that you will go to Shogbo Bush, there is $150 billion inside one place, Shogbo Bush, you will not enter motor trek there.
Okay.
As long as you know that. Now, this is it. There are two things you will do. You will ask yourself, do I need 150 billion? And then maybe you now remember, 400 million children are out of school. I need them to go to school. If it takes me to trek to that Oshogbo today, I will get there. Because there's not clarity. So now you see that the motivation, the why, you will not say that the 150 billion is not even actually the question. Point.
It's a tool now.
It's not because of the 400 million children that you want to go to school. That is a why. So for me, if you ask me what is the why of FirstFounders, it's because I dislike the fact that common survival of an ordinary citizen cannot be guaranteed through job creation. So for every time I think of unemployment as a problem in Africa, I want to build a business. I want to build a business because I know that business will raise one entrepreneur that will employ people.
Yes.
So for every business we build, we employ 10 people. We have taken 10 people out of the job market, the unemployment market. That is my why. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing. That is why I'm doing ventures to do. That's why I'm investing in business. That's why I'm raising entrepreneurs. And that's the reason why I can go to Oshogbo on foot. To go and pick the money if you tell me the location. You understand?
Yes.
So I think entrepreneurs should actually understand that they need to seek clarity. You need to know why they are doing what they are doing. That is the only way to manage frustration. That's the only way to manage all of the depressions and all of the many issues that come with, running a business, because they will come. They will come. But you must be standing at the last pillar. It's called the pillar of consistency. But for you to stay there, you must first of all visit clarity a lot. And
this is something that they go through actually in the residence.
Yes, of course, you will go through challenges. As an entrepreneur in residence, you will go through challenges.
Like helping them.
We are helping them. Exactly. We have clarity sessions with them.
Yeah.
Like one of the businesses just pivoted, so it was a POS business. But it wasn't doing well because we didn't niche the market properly. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, as we were pushing, we now saw that there is a part of the business, which is an escrow service, that was selling fast. And we came to clarity session, we say, come.
Yeah.
The escrow part of this business is a feature. It's selling fast. We are going to pick it and turn it to a business. And we picked it. We stopped the operations. We killed the business.
How painful is that?
Yes, of course. So in the venture studio, it's better to kill business fast. When you start, it's better to kill. But the only way you will kill business is because you are not clear. Because some people, their business is dead, but they keep pushing dead body for a very long time and wasting money.
It's a painful process.
You understand?
Yeah.
But because, it's like when you shed flesh.
Yeah.
Pay after the escrow service, was born out of a business that we are killing. We picked a stronger value that has a larger market, that's also unique, because we have done clarity sessions over and over and over to see where is the true opportunity from the one that we thought was a big opportunity.
So this is where failure transforms into feedback.
Exactly. Failure must transfer, because that failure in business, you must be thinking about your business from the value you are creating, from what the competitors are doing, or what the competition is doing. You must be looking at what is the new wave, what is the future talking about. And which is why some people will say, I'm shy. I don't want people to say, I just suddenly stopped my business. I say, well, when you don't stop the business will stop you. Pivot. Pivot and keep moving.
Because they've wrapped their identity, I guess, around the business idea, but not probably around the why.
Exactly. They are lost in the idea of the business and not the why. Now, when you know your why am I doing this? You will change your business tomorrow morning if it's not working because your why is not being answered.
Yes.
You will change the model and say, this has to come this way. Look at us now. We are originally a business, a venture studio, right? I was using my money, talking to other angels and all of that, but I've come to see that the rate at which we want to go in response to the why, we need to scale faster. We are now raising a fund.
Yes.
We are raising our own fund that will make us a venture capital firm too. So our venture capital firm is there, our venture studio is there. So we can say, bring 50 ideas, we have the money to fund it.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't have to go and be begging and be wasting time.
Yeah.
You understand? We also saw the future. So that what is the future? Where is the future tilting to? AI. Now we are going to be building based on AI. We are thinking on our feet and we are moving because we are clear about our why and we are consistent with our goals towards what we do.
You talked about bootstrapping just now.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, and this is one question I've always thought about. When even entrepreneurs have asked me, many are so passionate about their why they start bootstrapping, investing their own funds and everything. So is it always necessary to get external funds, be it through crowd investment or VC money or grants or angel investors? Is it always necessary to get external funds? If so, when is it the right time?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, because I think a lot of founders don't understand the stage at which they should go for which fund. When you are at ideation, so let me categorize it this way. When you are building a product, or when you have a product or a startup, let me pick 3 stages out of the many other stages. The idea stage, the product stage, and the revenue stage. Let me pick those 3. When you are at idea stage, you don't go and meet VC.
Thank you.
You use your money. You use what we call F&F, family and friends money, and you apply for a lot of grants. You go to venture studios, you go to incubator, you go attend accelerator programs where they give you money. Those are the vehicles that drive idea stage businesses. When you now move to products, you now go and meet angel investors and meet micro VCs. Right? Because the VC, don't forget, the venture capitalists that must return money to their own orga. They are called the limited partners. Do you understand? So they are in the game for returns. They will not put money in a place where there cannot be guaranteed return. If not guaranteed, but there should be returns at a certain percentage. It could be 2x, it could be 3x. But the failures must be thoroughly mitigated. Right. When you now move to revenue, you are generating revenue when you want to scale, that is when you should go to the VC. So I often tell people there are 2 phases in the life of a startup. There's the building phase and there's the scaling phase. In the building phase, focus on customers and the first level of investors I've talked about. It is only when you want to scale that you should go to the VC. Because at that point, you are talking numbers, you are talking metrics, you're talking projections, you're talking about internal, rate of revenue, you're talking about multiple on, invested capital to the people that you are trying to deal with. Because those are the things they will also go and tell their LPs, right? So when you show them those numbers, they can now say, let's bet our money on your numbers because you can actually scale. Money Point just raised, some money that moved them to become a unicorn. Man, if they were only talking numbers.
Yeah, that's true. Unicorn. You brought that word.
Yes.
Unicorn. Must everybody be a unicorn?
Everybody might not be a unicorn. Because not all products that you build has that capacity to be viral. Which is why when you are thinking of your idea, you must think of the idea from the perspective of virality. But then if you look at the spectrum of virality in itself, you will see that the beauty of virality is when you enable another channel to serve. If you look at the businesses that have succeeded the most, you will see that they enabled. Money Point gave POS to people to become POS agents so that they can serve people that are looking for money. They are enabling these guys. So they are, when somebody wakes up and says, what are you doing? Why are you not working? Go and do POS agent now.
Yes, that's true.
They're enabling.
They're enabling, yeah. They're creating an ecosystem.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If you look at Glovo and all of that, do you see the Okada guys? They're enabling them to make their own money.
Yes.
They're also enabling the food sellers, the food vendors.
Yeah.
So as a smart person, when you're thinking of idea, think of the idea that can enable. That is the idea that can gain virality. You understand? Because that idea naturally will have large markets. And there is a level of independence that the people you are enabling will have. And don't forget, freedom is like currency. And when you give it to people through the product that you sell, you will sell like Wi-Fi.
And you can adapt it into other West African countries. And
So I think that all of those things play out to helping to determine, your level of growth. Should
this information that we have been discussing now about, should it not be simplified for a 9-10-year-old somewhere in school? Part of the curriculum, part of the program. Of course,
this can be simplified. For me, really, to be honest, I mean, entrepreneurship is a very simple thing.
Yeah.
That we can, we just use a lot of verbosity to embellish it. But when you see a little child, there is entrepreneurship already going in the life of that child. And it starts from problem solving. And saying, go to that place and solve that problem. It solves that problem. Say, for solving this problem for me, I give you this.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Understands the connection between solving the problem
now
and the reward.
Solve that same problem for daddy.
Yeah.
So daddy say, I give you this too.
Yeah.
Solve it for your sister. I give you that. You are technically teaching entrepreneurship. You understand? Don't spend it. That sweat it took you to go and do that problem solving, remove 30 naira for it. We call it investment. You will save another 30 naira. We call that one saving for the, you understand? Won't you bring one of your brothers to join you to do the work to solve that problem?
Yes.
Take 10 naira for your brother.
Yes.
The child begins to naturally build a sense of value creation through problem solving. So, and now when you begin to explain it to yourself, you solve this problem, but the problem you are solving is value to me. And I'm paying you for giving me that value. But this is how to now manage what I'm giving to you for you to expand on the value that you have created.
Yes.
And this is how to take it further. Entrepreneurship is as simple as that.
That's true. That's totally true. The way you just explained it is very simple, but that also opens up a question about social capital, because I even see that in personal life with my children. I see that happening here. Also, my background. Sometimes, not sometimes, social capital is important.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
And so where you even grow up impacts your social circle, which impacts your way of thinking, your headspace, your ability to innovate, and later on. But there is another side of it where it could now become like irresponsible, where, hey, this is Bold with Joe. We are excited to bring African voices and stories to the forefront. The way you can support us is just to press that like button, subscribe, share, tell your friends about us, and drop your comments so we know what matters to you. You want to know all the beautiful shows I am preparing for you? Go to Bold with Joe. Now, back to the show. You only support people within your social circle, or you give the jobs or the ideas, or because you have access to that table, you have access to large funds, right? So my question is, knowing that social capital is also important, but not everybody having that head start from the beginning, right? So how do you, as an entrepreneur, as a founder or potential founder, how do you start finding your seat at the table or creating your table? I always say, forget finding a seat at the table, create your table. But well, not everybody will create a table. So how do you start creating that kind of network that will enable you to do what you want to do?
So I think that the very first thing to consider when it comes to having a seat at the table is to be seen.
To be seen. Wow.
If I do not see you, I cannot remember you. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and for you to be seen, you have to also answer the question of what are you being seen for?
Oh, so your value, what you bring.
Exactly. So it is those are the things that will now make people be like, this table, there has to be somebody that must sit at this table. Because they've seen you. They've seen what you are for. Do you understand? Now, the beauty, the other thing to now consider is to now make what you are saying for to be very compelling. When it becomes compelling, you come. So that is on the part of being at the table. But in terms of social capital, I believe very strongly that if you don't expand your network as a human being, even naturally as a human being, how can you increase your net worth? Your network is very important. So you must be intentional about your relationships. See, there is no problem with somebody calling people in their cycle to come and be in a place. Because those are the people that they are seeing. They are seeing everything. You understand? It is the people that I see, I say, my government won't share one money. Come and take. Let us use it to build stuff.
But there's another approach that, because also I know it from this approach, and of course, before I do something, I always want to first check my network. Is there anybody in my network that can offer that? If not, then I look outside. Yes, that's a normal human approach. But I got to learn another approach that I think this is interesting. Like the Austrian government, they have certain instruments, and not just the government, because I've seen companies integrating that or foundations. They have certain instruments that they make open to the public. They invest in making sure that it reaches all the corners that it might not normally reach. Like if I'm in the Chambers of Commerce, so I get emails about new funding strategies and everything because I am in the Chambers of Commerce. So there will be other people that don't have a business. You need to have a business there to be in the Chambers of Commerce. So those people will never get access or information about this funding strategy. So the government takes it upon itself to invest in those communities, like put a billboard outside, share flyers to say, this opportunity is coming up. Is anyone interested? So that means breaking the barrier of your legacy, your background, right? You don't have access now, you have the information, right? So someone that's ready, that does not have the natural access to it, can take action. So don't you see that as something fundamental in developing our economy, that the spaces are opened up to, there will be someone somewhere in one back end at Ikorodu that might have, maybe because of their education, they cannot articulate the product or the idea, but they might have a solution to a problem within that community. But that idea will die there, or that possibility will die there, because nobody will discover them. They will not even know that FirstFounders, they won't even know that there's a place where you could be groomed and it's a residence. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, of course. I mean, there are certain things that institutionalizing processes or institutions, or gets to open up to people. But in place of social capital, it still has to deal with being seen.
Yes.
And that's what I said. However, when you talk about making available information, that is also now based on the value of the institution or the company that is playing at that point in time, right? I run FirstFounders. When we need ideas, we open it up. People go to the website and apply, whether we know you or we don't know you. Once we meet up with our metrics, we select you, and then we begin to know you, right? But then also, there are people who come to us and say, I have somebody that I know that I think that can. And if we see that your idea fits, so at the end of the day, whether you have the social capital or not, it's an equal platform.
Okay.
We believe in equitable practices, right? It's an equal platform. But what is key is that once you meet the metrics, you get. And that does not also mean that if I have a special opportunity that does not require the information for public consumption, I will give it to somebody that I know, because I want to be able to give it to you in order to build my social equity with you.
Okay, yes.
Because I'm not depositing into your bank, or so that social capital bank. That's why it's called social capital.
Yes.
I keep investing in it.
So it's key.
It's key
to build relationship.
To continue to build relationship.
Yeah.
Be seen. Go to everywhere you can go to. In fact, I always say that in the life of a person, even in a company, there are 4 stages. There's what we call the forming stage. That's what we call the storming stage. That's what we call the norming stage and the performing stage, right? At the forming stage, when you are just forming, when you are just starting anything, be aggressively visible.
Okay.
Use every single opportunity to just be visible everywhere you can
That's
be.
That's true, though.
That is what will not even build the social capital.
Yeah.
You understand? Because the truth is that there are random people moving everywhere that will just see you.
Yeah.
And then they dig deeper. I've seen people I've never known before say, I Googled businesses I can do in Nigeria and I saw your name.
Yeah.
I Googled funding.
That's true.
And I saw your name. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now it's because I try to be visible everywhere. Now the storming stage, of course, the storming stage is where you go through your challenges and all of that.
Yeah.
But the truth is that at the end of the day, you have to just show yourself. Go to meetings, go to conference, go to seminar, go to event, see, it's going to exhaust you. It's better to be exhausted on knowing people than not to be exhausted, to be energized on not knowing people. What do you want the energy to do?
Yes. So this is also like a characteristic, a character that a founder should have.
Exactly.
Ready to connect.
You must have great communication skills. You must be ready to connect. You must be ready to break doors and enter into places, and you must not win all the time when you get into those places. But let it be that you are seen.
How do you deal with rejection then?
There will be rejection.
you have to deal with.
You have to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
Rejections will come. So you must always understand that there is only one for you in 100.
Yes. Okay.
When you operate with that, for me, guess what? Let me use the U.S. Embassy as an example. The moment you submit your application, you are on default.
Okay.
The answer U.S. Embassy wants to give to you is no on default, right? But when you now come for the interview, you have to now convince the consular to give you yes.
So managing your expectations.
Exactly. You manage your expectation and you have to know exactly who you are and what you're trying to do.
Preparation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you're not convinced, they'll say, why do you want to go to US? You will explain yourself and I say, take.
So that means presentation and pitch.
Do you understand?
Part of the...
All those things play out critically in how you move to the next phase. Yeah. So you must first of all understand that everybody you are dealing with, as you are building social capital, you are on default no. How do you get yes? It's how you now begin to position yourself.
Yes.
You have to have that differentiating factor. You must, have that panache of excellence with everything you're trying to do. To make sure that the people want to tell you that yes against their no.
No.
Have you seen people who don't like you and they approve projects for you? They will still tell you. Nobody say I like you, but only you feel do.
Yes. Actually, I would love to say thank you to Valentine. He's the one that found you and sent information to me. I started stalking you and reading and researching everything. So he has 3 questions for you. And I know now he's even shocked.
Where is Valentine?
He's here. He's right here. I know he's even shocked now that I'm reading his questions. So, and I see his questions really. I find that it resonates a lot because this is probably what very young people are thinking about. Young people have lost hope in Nigeria. And one question goes like, how can technology help young people develop hope? There are obstacles that prevent young people from reaching their full potential. Like how can these obstacles, how can you mitigate them, eliminate them? And how do you maintain optimism right now in this current state of the society?
So, talking about hope.
Yeah.
The truth is that the society has become very porous. That if you submit to it, you will lose hope.
Okay.
But then, as an individual, you have to sustain, you have to build your own inner hope and sustain it for yourself. And that should be what will guide your own optimism to survive. And I'll tell you something. If you drop two people into a pond or a deep sea, the very first thing they will gasp for is to struggle to survive. It's because there's an element of hope in them that they will survive.
That's true.
They will not just give up and say, okay, it's not me in the world, let me just go. There will be that struggle because there is still hope for survival.
It's an innate part of us, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think that the economy will change, either for good or for bad. But as an individual, you must keep your own personal hope alive.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You do that by reminding yourself more of your why. I've told a lot of people that I've met, I say, don't put your two legs in Nigeria.
Okay. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah. It means put one leg in Nigeria and put one leg in the international space. Yeah, you don't have to even travel to do that.
How did you put one leg in international space? Which
if you go to Upwork today.
Oh yes, that's true. Or Fever, yeah.
Or you understand?
Yeah.
You can get opportunities, right?
Yes.
One of your leg is already outside. You must learn to expand your opportunities.
Yes.
You must not think of yourself from the perspective of Nigeria. Do you understand? Because if you let Nigeria define you, you will go with Nigeria. You have to be able to define your own self and know who you are and know what you carry. You just have to continue to expand the scope of your opportunities. And that is one way I believe you can keep your hope strong. You get?
Yeah.
And it takes us back to that why. If you don't know your own personal why, people will dictate your life.
So personal development actually is important.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes. And we're coming to 3 closing questions. Before then, I have a quick question. Like, for founders, how important is maybe the founder is just one or there are 2 people, then they come to a stage where they have to build a team. What role does the team play, building the first set of team members? Okay,
so every business that starts sits on 3 important functional areas or pillars. 1 is operations.
Okay.
2 is marketing. 3 is finance. So 1, you must think of how do we operate this company? Who will join me to operate this company? 2, who will join me to bring business into this company? 3, how do we make money and how do we spend money? Once you can settle those 3,
those are the 3 key positions.
Key ones.
Yeah.
The other ones will just fall in place.
We have a tradition to end our conversation, and these are to go through 3 questions. The first question is about friendship and resilience. All you do, just listening and feeling the passion behind it, there will definitely be moments where you are tired. Like you need to build your level of resilience to keep doing this, moving to the next stage, coming up with new ideas. What part of friendship, what relationship, what connections has really supported you in building resilience?
It's a very deep question, but I'll answer it this way. I don't know, for so many reasons, I've always drawn support from family. I've drawn support from family, and I've drawn support from so there's a second me that I have conversations with. I talk to that me. So I separate what I carry and I put that what I carry in front of me, and I leave the bin to begin to have conversations with that person. I said, Lanre, you sitting right now, you're just a bloody Lanre. But you over there, you must not waste. You can't waste. It's not, you're going through all of this right now, you can't just waste. 10 million jobs have to be created. You know, you need to raise entrepreneurs. And oftentimes that me is my mirror. And I have that conversation, and it's like there is an intertwine. And once that happens, I jolt into some type of reality again. And you see me walking like nothing ever happened. You get. Another thing that has helped me a lot is music. So I love to sing, I love to listen to music. So I begin to play music. You know, and my music are like stories. And I begin to listen to each one of them. So I curate my music on Spotify that tells me stories about how I'm living my life. You get it? So I just pick different things. So and the latest one I added to my list is I've Been Moving by Omali. You know, and it said, I've been moving, I've been moving. And what that does for me is that it just reminds me that DLM, you have to keep moving no matter what. So there are certain points in my life that I get to, and I just know that I play that music and I just keep moving. I'm raising a phone that it's been difficult, especially because I'm a new manager.
I know that. Yeah.
Raising your first fund can be very daunting.
Yeah.
And I get to that point where I'm frustrated in the office, in my home office, I'm working. And I just have to switch one or two songs in. I play the music, you know. And, you know, have you ever been in front of your system? You don't want to ever work.
I know.
You want to work, but you can't work.
Yes. That means what I'm hearing, because I can relate to this, there's a lot of self-priming going on.
Do you understand?
There's a lot of deep self-care and work going on.
A lot. So I got to that point where I realized that self is your first motivation. And you must learn to separate your being away from what you carry. Yeah,
you're not what you do.
Do you understand? So when you do that, you have that conversation.
Yeah.
It jolts you into that reality because nobody is going to tell you that truth. So you can have all of those other support.
Yes.
You know, and still go back to that shell.
Yeah.
But when you have that conversation with yourself, what happens is that you now become a deeper reminder of what it is that you need to do to be who you need to be.
It takes the strength of being vulnerable enough to confront yourself.
Exactly. You have to be vulnerable enough to confront yourself, because a lot of times people are shy to confront themselves.
Yes.
You get it? But I confront myself a lot. I confront myself. I separate myself from the other me. And I'm having that hard conversation with myself. And it has encouraged me a lot of times.
I can imagine.
It's a skill. It's not
skill,
everybody can do that. Not everybody can really do that.
Learn and you can learn and work. And sometimes you don't even know these possibilities exist, right? So if you don't know that it exists, you can't work on yourself to become that person.
And that is why podcasts like this
that's
so people get stories and get to understand. And for me, how I started, it began with motivation. Meditation.
Okay.
Where I begin to meditate. So I close my eyes. As I close my eyes, I see a separation between me. Have you ever been in that situation?
I know.
You meditate for a long time. You just see you separate.
Transcendent separation. You understand that you are one. It's love.
And that conversation, you cannot throw in that conversation at that point. Now, when you start meditation, there is still your consciousness is still when you're just starting, it still plays. Your eyes are closed. You are meditating, but things are still running in your head. But as you do it every day, you begin to master yourself.
For me, it works when I focus on my breath. So I bring myself back into,
Exactly. You understand? And now just imagine a conversation that happens between that. You are definitely going to see you for who you are and what you need to be.
But this is next level. This is another level
next
stuff.
Level.
Which is great. And that's why I'm so excited just for this, because I know how much the impact it has made in my life and the lives of so many other people that I know, like great entrepreneurs, owning large companies, being healthy at the same time, fit and everything. And I really feel like this stuff needs to also, it's even here, it was in the olden days, because I remember my great grandmother exploring this kind of mindset stuff. So I feel like we need to really create a space or a community for it here. So I'm going to get you back on this podcast just for that. Just for that, because I know this level.
It's all right.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
You're
so
welcome.
the second question is, there must be something that you're scared about, but you still make that first move. You still take that step. What is it that you've been like, should I do this or not? Will this work? You're doubting yourself. You're scared about doing it, but you do it anyway.
Yeah, you do it. I mean, for me, I've always, I've had a very strange experience in my life. So there are a number of things that scare me when I want to do something. I know I've never been scared of failing, because I made my first 3 million when I was 23 years old. I turned that money into 30 million, and I lost everything just very quickly. It happened so fast, you know. And ever since then, I built this strength to face fear, the fear of failure, you know. But the other things that kind of scare me, especially in this period when I want to do stuff, is that I'm scared about, Larry, you're 41. Should you be doing this?
Now you're even making me more scared. Thank you. Seriously.
So I know that. So you want to take yourself out there and be doing this
you want
thing.
to start again.
You know that kind of stuff.
You climbed the mountain, you want to start climbing a new one.
You know,
I
so I have that fear sometimes.
like it's too late.
Exactly, that too
I
late.
know, but you know, I fell into that. I used 2 years to get myself out.
You know,
it's not too late.
It's not too late. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and when I think about it, like, hey, come on, you just have to do what you got to do. Let people talk. They will always talk.
Yes,
you know, that kind of stuff.
Yes, I get that.
So I find myself in that situation sometimes.
We all do. It's just some of us are bold enough to accept that these situations are there, and I think it's important for young people to know that, because I didn't see anybody later taking this bold step. I realized, oh, there are people who started a new career with 50. Oh, there are people who started, you know, but I think it's so important for young people to know that life is not defined by one thing. You have different phases, different abilities. You might discover new passions, so why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why. Thank you so much. Now, the last question, this one, I always love this question. What if you wake up tomorrow morning, right? And everything, your why has been fulfilled. Everything, you have all the resources, everything you can imagine that you need right now, be it in personal life, professional workspace, you've got it. What will you do?
If I have everything.
Yes. What is it that
I think I've always thought about what I would do. And I think for some reason I've started some part of it. I'll be skydiving everywhere I go to. And then I love education, so I grew up in a disadvantaged area.
Oh yeah.
And I've always had this goal to support people, underrepresented people, disadvantaged people who have dreams. There are so many dead dreams in living bodies in Nigeria today, because the people that have those dreams don't have the environment to that support that goal, that dream, because they are in disadvantaged area, they are underrepresented, so the things don't get them and all of that. So if I have everything today, I want to go to those kind of people. I want to say, yeah, this underrepresented guy can become big. This guy in this disadvantaged guy can become, this disadvantaged lady can become all of that. So I'll put my resources in that space. Is
there anything you think we've not covered, we've not discussed?
If we are here to discuss everything that we have not discussed, we'll be here till tomorrow. But of course, for me, there are so many phases to my life. There is the entrepreneurial side. I write. My first book. I wrote books about things that happen in my life, but that are not entrepreneurial.
Yes.
You know, but of course, it has some of those entrepreneurial experiences, but just literary stuff. You know, like I was in Oxford University in partnership with James Corey, James Corey Society, on a fellowship to just go and learn how to do creative writing, learn creative writing, right? and I wrote a book. It's called Spells and Spectacles. It's on Amazon. You get it. And it just talks about all the scary things that happened to me. I captured all of these things in my book, Spells and Spectacles.
I need to get your book.
Yeah, very interesting. They are just stories that you...
I will read it, and we're going to have another conversation.
And also, and I wrote a second book, which I will release soon. It's called The Other Side of Heaven. But that is also very literary. And it kind of just captures some of the strange things that happened to me in my journey as an entrepreneur. Now, strange things in terms of, some very unusual experiences. You will have like I go pitch to somebody and the person sees me, and instead of the person to talk to me about my business, is talking to me about how fine a man I am and all of those stuff.
So men have that. I thought it's only women that suffer from that.
So it's also crazy. So many things like that. So I talk about the other side of heaven, but I'll release that.
I can't wait. Thank you so much, Lanre.
You're
this
welcome.
has been I have learned so much. And you've just brought good energy, information. You've opened up so many topics that I really think there are going to be questions coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Yes.